want waffles?
You were. I don't know if you can hear me yet. Nope, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Hi, Junie. You came so close to making it, bud. You were so close there. You were about like 5 to 10 seconds too slow. You should have been a little bit faster there.
All right, restart.
Okay, everybody, hang on. We're gonna do the intro again so that Junie can be here when we go live.
It's a few minutes, right? It's a few minute intro, right?
Yeah, we got like 5 minutes, something like that. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday. That is the beginning of the week, as far as I'm concerned, because Sunday is the end of the week.
Oh, man, you're man
coming in with that
for the
just a
you
hot
don't know,
take.
The top of the outline always has hot takes. It just says hot takes, and that's not Rick.
Here's the thing.
Off the dome hot take.
When you get to the end of Friday, what portion of the week have you entered? It's the weekend. You're in the weekend. Yeah. What is part of the weekend? Sunday. Sunday is actually the end of the weekend. If it's the end of the weekend, that means it's the end of the week. Monday is the beginning. It's when we all go back to the normal of things. I will die on this hill. No, nothing. Okay, moving on.
I just had things that I didn't want to say.
Playing with me in the space, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. I'll tell you later. But I was instantly going to say something. I was like, no, hold that one. Not now.
My goodness.
It was between a joke I would regret and also going, then why do calendars all say Sunday?
Because people are bad. People are bad at making calendars. I've never seen a calendar that I was like, yes, this does everything that I want it to. And first thing on that list would be Sunday, end of the week. I will say, I think I know why it is set up the way it is. It is set up the way that it is so that it can be like just the first letter of the day of the week representing the days. And so if you had Saturday and Sunday next to each other, it would be S and then another S. Whereas if you put one at the front and one at the end, it's not like right after each other visually.
You would like my Rocketbook. You would like my Rocketbook because it is Monday at the front end, and then it says Friday, but then the week, Saturday and Sunday, it's just as S/SU because it's a planner, so it presumes that all your business stuff and all your important things are on these days, type of thing, and you'll outline it in different portions of it for other stuff. As everybody can tell, this is a TTRPG.
This is a TTRPG morning show. You knew that. That's why you're here. You're here for those good hot takes about the week and how it's set up. But also for just really intense opinions about things. And I have very strong opinions on dragons specifically.
Yes, you do.
I've brought this up a few times to the point where we finally decided we should probably like put a episode together about this specifically.
For everybody, Hunter is a delight. This is where I'm going to talk positive things about Hunter real quick. Hunter, you are very positive and very go with the flow, very whatever. What dramatic zooms are happening. But you're always about, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And I have never met anybody that yes hands and very respectfully accepts criticism and counters politely the way you do.
Well, thank
You
you.
don't always go, I super duper want to do this and voice it in such a you clearly wanted to do a dragon episode.
I've wanted to do a
So hard.
dragon episode for a while.
And you don't even like kick down the door and do it. But for you, I know this was the equivalent of you kicking down the door. It's just like, you know what? We're gonna do this next week. And it was a pause, but I could tell in your brain you were like, we're fucking talking about dragons next.
We're gonna talk about dragons
I'm
this
sick
time.
and tired. I'm sick and tired of tap dancing around this issue. We're talking around dragons.
For the majority of you, this may be the first time you've heard me bring up the fact that I want to talk about dragons. But I have brought it up a couple of times on stream of like, we should talk about this because I have very strong opinions on it. But to give you a little glimpse behind the curtain here, I think every single week since we started doing the show together, I've been like, hey, what do you think about what if we talked about like dragons, and how they're just like horribly misrepresented in most media, and like even in games they're not played the way that they should be played. What if we did that? And every time Junie has been like, I love that, we should definitely do that. This week, though, I think we should talk about this instead. And then we talk about something that isn't dragons and why they are just absolutely horribly misrepresented amongst most media. There are I have strong feelings on this. We've been over that. What I mostly want to talk about, though, we're not to the point where we can talk about the D&D movie yet. We've put a for anybody listening, this upcoming Friday is when our spoiler ban on the movie and our own imposed
self-imposed embargo.
Embargo, yeah. This upcoming Friday, we will be talking spoilers on the movie. If you don't want to hear that, that's totally fine. Feel free to skip next episode, and then come back to it once you have seen it. Or
play it. Just have us in the background. Don't listen to it. Mute us, but still play it. You should still join us no matter what.
Or come with us and listen to our spoiler-filled version to decide if you want to see the movie, or see the movie between now and Friday. All of these are wonderful options. You can do any of them, but in the meantime, the reason I was able to finally get this as being like, this is a thing we're talking about, is because in the D&D movie, and this is not a spoiler because it was in the trailer, there is a red dragon. And this red dragon is portrayed in the same way that dragons are portrayed in a lot of media, which is just sort of like hungry, greedy, not really intelligent. It's just like, it is a monster that is after the players. There is no intelligence behind it, at least in the movie. This is the case for things like even Game of Thrones, which we can get into a whole thing about how like the dragons in Game of Thrones aren't actually dragons, they're wyverns, but that's beside the point.
We can get into the fact that you say wyverns and not wyverns.
I do say wyverns.
I feel like I've heard it.
I've heard it both ways.
And I don't remember which way. Yeah,
I
feel like I've heard people call out the other one and then say that one's right, and I'm like, okay, and then I never commit it to memory.
Give me a second.
But you and I are on different pages.
According to D&D Beyond, it is pronounced wyvern, which is fine. I can immediately adapt. Well, it is said by Matt Mercer. If you open up the the monster manual on D&D Beyond, there's like little pronunciation thing that you can click next to it, and all of the monsters are said by either Matt Mercer or Marisha Ray, and I like that. So you just click on it and you hear Matt Mercer say wyvern, and you're like, oh, okay, well that's how it's said. Anyway. Dragons. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah. I have. Here's something that I wonder. Have you outlined or organized your thoughts in any way on how you feel about this, or do you just know I've always wanted to say all this and you're just gonna unload? I'm just curious.
Uh, here's what I will say. I have
Mhm.
three main points. I have
Ooh,
classified my thoughts for you specifically.
okay.
I because I know you appreciate a good list. I have classified my thoughts.
I've
Um,
already outlined things to give you points just in case you needed them. But
Excellent.
if you already have them,
No,
yeah,
I am also down to like interact with the ones that you've written down because I do see them here. Those are great points. And mine kind of go hand in hand with some of them. My points are the intelligence of dragons, the horde of a dragon, and the strength of a dragon. Those are my three that I want to get into it because I feel like in drag like when it comes to dragons, I want them to be smart, powerful, and they have to have some sort of horde. Like that is what makes a dragon to me. The That horde can be pretty much anything, as long as it is like something of value to the dragon. Where I think a lot of dragons fall off for me in media, in adventures, all sorts of stuff. Where it falls off for me is in the intelligence or power of the dragon. It's usually one of those two. Most dragons in media have some sort of horde. Like that is iconic to them. They are all going to be that way. But there's for me kind of three categories of dragon in media. There is the like the ones I'm talking about, like Smaug from Lord of the Rings. Like they're intelligent, they're powerful, they've got this massive horde. They're these crazy powerful like creatures. The second one is sort of a played down version where they're like more animalistic, where they're just sort of like the horde is comes out of a need to
a
hoard it, and it's just
collection.
sort of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Trophy, like a hunter's
a
trophy type
lot
of
of
thing
them
too.
is sort
Yeah.
of that, yeah, where they're more after like the food and stuff as well. You get a lot of those from stories that have their roots in like historical fiction, right? Of like King Arthur and the dragon. Like you're gonna have more of the like this is essentially an animal that I
Yeah.
will go and slay. And it is doing bad things, but it is not a like this powerful sentient creature. The And then the third one is sort of that like middle ground that I feel like ends up being in a lot of D&D games where it's like, yeah, they can talk, and yeah, they have a horde, and yeah, they're like they've got abilities and stuff, but then they end up being kind of pushovers of like you're either just gonna like negotiate with them for like basically nothing, or you're going to attack them and win because like it's a game and you want to like go off and do your thing. um and I believe that especially in games, dragons should be exceptionally powerful. Um, the In this PowerPoint presentation I'm about to show you. No, I don't have a PowerPoint. But there's a lot of incredible things that dragons can do that are just not played with in uh in the sort of D&D game world. Like even the dragons that have been fleshed out and have like names and stuff are not particularly intimidating. Like if you have a fleshed out dragon in one of the lore books, they're still like they're either basically an NPC where they're just going to like give you a quest and you leave, or they're going to be like really delving into the like lore of the dragon and not really living up to it. Like the ones that are most disappointing to me are the ones that have like a lot of lore and legend about like who the dragons are and what they're doing, and then not having um not having that represented once you get to the actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I go into a fight and it's a fight with an ancient dragon where it has been like spoken of in hushed rumors and like it's all this stuff, and we get into the fight and it's basically just there's the dragon, here's us, and we go and we fight the dragon, we kill the dragon, we take the horde, and end of dragon. Like dragons are very smart. Like why is this a thing? Also, I see Davy Jones in the chat just counting down to canceling his sub if we don't talk about how the Chonky Boy is an exception to the typical dragon in D&D. And what I will say about that is there is a lot of lore behind, not a lot of lore, but there's lore behind the Chonky Dragon. If you've ever ran through or read through Out of the Abyss for 5th edition, he is from that book. It is he is an exception to the rule, but I still feel he was done dirty by the movie.
Because we were not doing spoilers. As soon as we ended our call last time, I was like, I have one issue, only one, and it's they could have rectified it with one tiny thing, and we'll talk about that Friday.
We'll talk about it Friday.
But there was only
Davy Jones,
one thing
rest assured, I love that Chonky Boy. He is a delight. I love him as an NPC. Fantastic. But we won't get into the specifics of him this episode. On Friday we can delve into why he upsets me so much. But yeah, those are my basic, like, here are the points that I want to dive into. That being said, where would you like to start? Because I know I'm sort of like throwing a lot of content this time.
That's important. That's important to know, like, you know, where you're coming from, and I think those are all really valid. You brought up a good point with Smaug, where which I am not a Lord of the Rings person. I have a funny Lord of the Rings story that I'm not going to get into right now, but I when I hear that name, I thought originally people were making fun of it. I thought it was Smog, and then people were saying Smaug as like an internet meme. And then I realized that enough people were doing it that, oh no,
like there's no way that all of these people are in on the joke. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I was just like Smaug, like, because that's how I would hear it. And and even then I've seen people jokingly say it like that. So I assumed it was a gag. And then I realized, like, oh no, that's the thing's name. And then like, you couldn't do that to a person, you know. He's like, oh, Jeff, you know what I mean? Like, just like that's what I was doing essentially.
Yeah, his name is Smaug. I think there is the joke of like really just punching that with every guttural sound you can of like, yes, the dragon Smaug. And it's like, oh, hate that.
Have you seen another dragon in anything other than, like, in any other property or any other media that you liked? And maybe not run the same way, but like, well, that was cool type of thing.
Sure. So there are, I mean, I do have a website up that's like a list of famous dragons.
Okay. All right.
So we can run through this of like any dragon from Game of Thrones. I hate. I despise it. The only way that I am able to watch it is going, yes, well, these are wyverns. They're not dragons. So technically different. There are things like the dragons in Harry Potter are kind of that same thing of just they're like essentially just beasts. There's Tiamat and Bahamut from Dungeons and Dragons made this list. That's cool. You've got things like Falcor from the Neverending Story is
Yeah, I saw
technically
that.
a
I see that.
dragon.
Yeah.
Spyro the dragon, good dragon. I do
hmm
like Spyro.
Has a society that's one of the things I want to talk about. Go ahead. You have a keep going.
Yeah. You've
Oh,
got
I see
uh
Maleficent on here, and I'm like,
Maleficent is
no.
technically, yeah, Maleficent is
Well,
technically a sorceress who turns
yeah,
into a dragon.
yeah. I was about to say,
Yeah.
or is it she's a dragon, and
Ooh.
that's the thing? Because
If she's a dragon who takes the form of a person, I
if
like
she's
that
playing
substantially
if she's
better
playing a
actually.
dragon in the way that you would like
Yeah.
her to play a dragon,
Oh
because I mean,
yeah.
I've seen
She
Critical Role
actually
where
at
there
that
was like
point
somebody that was,
becomes
yeah,
a top tier dragon. If she's a
yeah,
dragon who takes the form of a powerful sorceress, that
yeah.
is my new interpretation of that movie. That's fantastic.
Yeah, wouldn't that be kind of dope if it's just like, no, this is her real form. You've like, whenever you're doing a boss fight, they, hit you with, so it's like you're fighting her magically.
Hmm.
First form is crone, then she gets to her form, and then she's like, you know what? You've caused me to shed this facade. You're gonna
Hmm.
get it all now.
Yeah.
And boom, dragon. Uh
Um,
uh
I
yeah,
do love. Have you ever read the Aragon series?
no.
So I
I know
love the
of it.
way dragons are portrayed in the Aragon series. It's a very cool like bond between like dragon and rider and like
Yeah.
all of that. It's very very cool. I will also say right now before anybody comes for me,
Mm.
the movie is garbage. And this is not Junie, you're making a face at me like, ooh,
Oh
another
no,
hot
I'm
take. This is not a hot take. This is universally accepted. Even if you
oh,
have
okay.
never seen, even if you've never read the books, the movie is still garbage. Like it's not a good movie. But if you have read the books, it is unadulterated spit in the face of the books.
Ooh.
Like it
Oh,
is
wow.
garbage.
Wow.
I will say they're making a series with Disney Plus, and I'm very excited about that because that could be incredible. The books are amazing. One of my all-time favorite series. Love it. But I do like the way dragons are portrayed in that. Also, in Skyrim. Skyrim is another great example of you
hmm
have some dragons like the named dragons of like Alduin, the World Eater, and
Yeah, yeah,
Parthenox,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
you have those like powerful dragons who are well represented. Don't necessarily missing out on some of the like horde elements and stuff like that, but it's a different type of dragon.
hmm
The what I what bugs me about Skyrim is you have the dragons who are like these are massive powerful like world-ending creatures, and then also you have these ones that'll just sometimes ambush you in the field and they're just like ah, and then you kill them and they're dead, and it's like okay, well I mean there's got to be more to it than
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So there's a
I
weird
see how you feel there.
juxtaposition.
Yeah.
um I do love How to Train Your Dragon.
Do you know about the books?
I don't. So I know that they exist. I've never
Yeah.
read them. I love the movie. Like the
I like
characters are beautiful. The
I
music.
like those. I like those. I have another thing about pet versions of dragons because of that one.
Hmm.
Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon, the book series.
Hmm.
Imagine large, like a sizable iguana.
Okay.
That's how big Toothless is.
Oh, he's much smaller. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's not. It's not like a big old rideable dragon. I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
it's a little one, and it is like an instruction manual. Like it is like more stories, and it's him talking about training
Ah,
dragons. It's like it's a kid's book. It's
I
like
should
Tyrone
read
the Kid
this.
like stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look up the cover, you'll see that the very first cover of How to Train Your Dragon, it is a small dragon. I'm going through a list of like top. It's on Collider. It's like top dragons.
Hmm.
Um, shown briefly, but very, very, I think a good use of dragons is from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm. Hmm.
Aang needed to learn they need to learn fire dance, like fire bending,
Yeah.
and it was in Avatar. There's like the original creators of bending, and it was dragons.
Hmm.
And it's in order to do it, they have to like it's all martial arts and stuff like that. And you see when they're doing the martial art, you see the dragon kind of twisting and turning, and that's like the dance.
Mm-hmm.
But they're shown as wise because they bestowed this gift, and then we
Sure.
there's more lore otherwise, but like it's that intelligent, you know, kept they kept things away to keep them mysterious and stuff.
Right.
So like, but they were in those mountains and they had this society that worshipped them and only called them when they needed it, but like put them in that point of like, we don't mess with you, we respect you,
Mm-hmm.
you're smart, you are not just something. And it was I really liked those dragons. I forgot about Falcor. But it's I hate that it's on this list, but so Shrek, right?
Yeah.
That dragon uh
Good
was
dragon.
smart.
Good
Was,
dragon. Yeah.
everything is like thing. Now,
Hordes, donkeys, and princesses.
yeah, I mean, yeah. There's always this Mandela effect moment where I'm like, did I remember something right or not? But I remember like some saucy scenes with that dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
crazy. But it's one of those things where it's like the bard rolled like a 20 on the
Mm-hmm.
charisma check, and I'm just like, what? And then you get the dragon on your side, and it's like a powerful creature.
A
It
powerful
is
creature. Yeah.
smart. It is not just
Eats
something.
eats Farquaad.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it is not something to
the
be trifled
villain of
with.
the movie is eaten by the dragon that they befriended along the way.
Yeah.
That is how he is destroyed. Yes, the dragon in Shrek is fantastic. Shrek is a masterpiece. I love it dearly.
And the number one on this list is, and it's interesting, and I really like it because it makes it more than just is Spirited Away. Have you seen Spirited Away?
Okay, so I
Ooh,
haven't.
it's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
This is a level of contention between me and some of my friends.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's any of those movies. Because those are what are they?
Miyazaki movies.
Miyazaki movies.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any of the Miyazaki movies, and I've
Wait,
never
like
seen
any of them?
any
You
of
haven't seen
them.
any of? Oh dear. Oh,
I think the
okay.
only Miyazaki did the like little animation of Grogu and the Dust Bunnies for Disney Plus. And I think
Okay.
that's the only ones I've seen. Is
So none of them? Like,
Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, are those the
yeah,
same thing?
yeah.
Okay.
It's Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli. Yeah.
So I
Okay.
haven't seen any of those. Like not a single one.
Howl's Moving
And
Castle? Like you haven't seen.
nope.
Wow.
And I have a lot
Um.
of friends who are very into them and will be you need to see these movies. And I'm like, you're right, I should. I'm not going to, but I should. Like I just don't have.
Has your wife seen any of them?
She may have. I don't think so though.
Because I could
The
see her
number
forcing
the
you to
number of
rewatch some of these. Like I'm surprised. Like some
here's
of
the
these,
here's the
I'm
thing.
like,
My wife has
this is
not
not
watched a lot of movies. Like we just watched Princess Bride for the first time for her. Like
okay.
there's a lot of movies that she has not seen. Um they are something that I will get to eventually. I just have never gotten around to watching them.
Interesting.
Um
Okay.
for me, I think what I need is I need my brain to just ADHD hyperfixate on them, and then I'll watch all of them in a week.
Like
But
Howl's Moving Castle has Christian Bale in it. Like he is
incredible.
he is Hal, and at one point, uh, he looks different and he just uses his Batman voice. Like at one point, I was just like, he's just like, go away. And I was like, that's just his Batman voice. That he must have auditioned with just that
Mhm.
voice. But Totoro, Mononoke, and Spirited Away, those are big ones.
Yeah,
Kiki's Delivery Service is just a
I've
fun little
seen. I know
interesting.
enough
Okay.
about them at this point that like if somebody comes to me and is like having a conversation about them, I can sort of keep up. Um, I know enough about them to participate.
Mhm.
I just have never had the time to sit down. Oh, and see, I've talked too much about this because I have summoned Good Snowy Night into the chat to come and
Oh
harass
dear.
me about watching this. This is one of my friends who will never forgive me for having not watched these.
I'm so sorry.
But
Okay. So all
um,
right. So we're talking about dragons and other
we're
media
talking
and
about
stuff
the
like that.
dragons. Yeah.
But yeah, I have so many dragon related thingies here. Um but all right. So you know what you would want out of a dragon. Do you have a favorite dragon in D&D? Like is there one that you like either get to use more often or that you like that you would I would love to use this one? Is there one that
From
sticks out to you?
like core, like from the official stuff.
Yeah, no, either any one. Like if you had to like make your own, if it doesn't
So I
exist, or if
have
you're like, I want gold dragons, they're the
right.
one, you know?
Um, oh, you're talking like a type of dragon.
Sure, yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I love a red dragon. It just
Okay.
the fire, the desolation. Like I love a red dragon. But I my for me, metallic dragons make really good NPCs, and chromatic dragons make really good enemies.
Mm,
And so usually that's the dynamic that I end up playing with. Every once in a while, I'll throw like a chromatic dragon who is like not interested in the desolation and the like just utter carnage and power. But
mm.
like it's such a good like power dynamic that I really enjoy. Um, I would say my favorite. I think it's a. Is it a copper dragon? One of the metallic dragons. Um, has a thing where they're basically like little pranksters. Um,
Like they're small though? Like
no,
not pseudo dragons.
like regular dragons, but one of their things is they're like it's either copper or bronze, and it might not be the case for like current editions,
Mm,
but in the old editions, um in the old editions there was a one of the metallic dragons was like, I'm just into like pranks and riddles, and like if like that's
oh,
if
funny.
you're gonna come along with me, like I'm gonna accidentally tie
Copper
your shoes
dragons.
together.
Oh, it's
um
copper. Because copper, it's under the description is they're good hosts, and a copper dragon appreciates wit, a good joke, and
yeah,
humorous story or a riddle. A copper dragon becomes annoyed with any creature that doesn't laugh at its jokes or
yeah,
accepts its tricks with good humor.
I think a copper
They're
dragon
fond of
is
bards. That's
just
funny.
it's
That's
such a
good.
good like it's such a there a lot of the other dragons sort of have like very similar sort of like a lot of the metallics are like justice and like that sort of stuff, and a lot of
Hmm.
the chromatic are like just very like harsh. And the fact that there's just like one dragon who's like, yeah, if you come to my house I'm gonna ask you a riddle, and if you get it wrong I might eat you. Like that's just fun. Like I'm gonna tell you a real bad knock knock joke, and if you don't laugh at it you're not allowed to come back to my party. Like I really enjoy that. um
So,
Overall
uh-huh.
I think aesthetically blue dragons are my favorite aesthetically.
Mm.
For D&D they've got the like rhino horn thing off the front that I really really like. They're just they're different than the other ones, and I like those.
I
Do you have
re
a favorite?
I the blue dragon was the first dragon I've ever technically used,
Mm-hmm,
and it was when I was showing my home game how the stakes of what they were trying to deal with.
mm-hmm,
So I did a Groundhog's Day situation where really descriptive in the beginning of the session, and they went met a fortune teller, gave them a path, and they went down a path, and I had something for each of them, and the dragonborn he was a blue dragonborn, and it was they went somewhere. He crashed down into like a crypt and fell down a pile of treasure, like a massive, just like mountains like of treasure fell down it,
mm-hmm,
and it was dark except for the light that was coming from the hole, and the only thing that started illuminating the space was the crackling of the electricity, and he sees the light of the dragon. And I think they were, if they weren't level 1, they were like below level 3.
mm-hmm.
They were definitely below level 4. Um, and he's like, I'm resistance lane. I was like, okay, so you only take this much damage, but I think I made it like an ancient. blue dragon. Like I went for
Yeah.
the highest thing, and I rolled a stupid amount of damage to show them, but it was like a highlight. Like, you know, it's just like you can't beat any of those things. This is the level of stuff you have to beat. It was like
It's
a
you're
Balgora, a
essentially giving
dragon.
them the like video game pop up of like creatures in this area are beyond your level.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but they would die. Like I killed them. Like
Yeah.
I literally would do it, and then they'd wake up, and the next day they would go. They were like, "We're not going that way," but they always ended up at a situation. So it was a Balgora, I think it was Balgora or something crazier. A Garistro, I think it was.
Mm.
But that a blue ancient blue dragon and a dragon turtle. Like
Dragon
yeah,
turtles will
there's
rough
yeah.
your day up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was always like they beat a goblin camp. Like it was they had
Mm.
something they did normal, but then they also at the end of it, like it was real like sucky. You know, I mean, it's like, oh, we did it. We defeated the camp. What's coming out of the lake? And then it was like, and I was like, well, that sucks. And I was just like, no, man, you all level up, but you know, you're all dead.
Yeah.
I really like as far as what I would love to use,
Hmm.
and I haven't gotten to use them because it's like I have access to fizz bands through like, you know,
Hmm.
people sharing, but I haven't had it myself. But like I really like the crystal dragons,
Crystal dragons
um,
are very cool. Yeah.
because I
And
really like this.
that's an old editions thing. Like that is Crystal Dragons were
Okay,
I think second edition
okay.
was when they brought Crystal Dragons in. There's some very very cool Crystal Dragon stuff from
The
old school.
scintillating breath sounds like it'd be fun, and also a psychic step, like the little teleport. And I can also see it's one of those anime things where I can picture it flying, and because of this psychic energy or radiant
Hmm.
gravity, whatever the situation is, it's one of those like Pokemon type things where it's like you got wings, but is you ever flapping them? Like, are you just always like you're never actually flapping those things? You're
Yeah,
just
why would you
flying.
need to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's how I imagined those kind of dragons, and I love it. Um, uh, I know that one thing that to jump around dragon tropes and things like that.
hmm,
There's always like kidnapping a damsel in distress
yeah,
or and it's different. It's so funny when it's like just a creature that is doing it. I'm gonna eat you later.
hmm,
And then even then, there are some intelligent ones that'll be like, okay, I'm taking you for whatever reasons, but their homes are like whether they're smart or not, they
hmm,
don't. It's not like they have creature comforts as far as couches or amenity. Like they still, no matter what level of intelligence, live in a cave. Um,
yeah,
and it's one of those things where it it betrays me a little bit as far as the stats go, but I wonder if the intelligence isn't always like smart,
sure,
but they're so old, they just you know, it's like, you know, you use history as your intelligence stat.
sure,
It's just to account for the fact that they've existed that long, so they can't like sheer experience.
sure.
They have they know a lot. So I feel like
I
that's the
agree
way that.
with the sentiment.
Mhm.
What I will counter with
Yeah.
is I the let's see here, where is this information? For argument purposes, I will use red dragons because red dragons are like the iconic one, right?
Mhm.
A red dragon wormling, which is up to 8 years old. So they have been around for 8 years or less. As
Yeah.
a red
Yeah.
dragon wormling, has an intelligence of 12. That is still substantially higher than the average person.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
Yeah, no,
if the
because
average
I
if
thought
the
that too.
average
I was
person
just like,
has an intelligence of 9, you are
mhm.
a third smarter than them.
Yeah. No, because at first I was like, ancient dragons, I super get it. Adult dragons, and I was like, ooh, what would be considered an adult?
So
But
according to the Forgotten Realms wiki, A 8 years is a dragon wormling. Then a young dragon is up to 200 years. After 600 years or older, they start feeling the effects of their age. Dun dun dun. After 7 years, these effects become pronounced, and death of old age was a risk. On waking, an ancient red dragon could be very disoriented. A red dragon became an elder at 950 years and an ancient dragon at 1,900 years. Oldest known red dragon lived to about 2,500 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like that's at first that's where I was going with it, where I was just thinking like sheer they will remember everything, but they
Yeah.
might not have. It's one of those things where if it is something where because they are still living in those environments,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something where it is smart, but I hate saying it's an animal that's smart, but it becomes like I my favorite as far as the one that is I think usually used the closest
Mm-hmm.
is the white dragon, only because the way they
it's
describe it
it's
is like it's that
described as being
hunter.
more, yeah, it's been
Yeah,
described as being more, it is the most animalistic of
yeah.
the
And
dragons. Yeah.
and and then I go that intelligence is used to set traps.
Sure.
Animals can set traps. Animals can be smart and go, this is how I can get the food I need.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I kind of follow that logic of like these smarter dragons,
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing if like for red dragons or anything else that will basically go, this is my house now. If
Mm-hmm.
there is a castle with a treasure hoard or a tower, and then they take it.
Sure.
And then it's like, I recognize this and I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, yeah, that's more in line. But then when it's like, oh, this is living in a cave in the mountains,
Right.
it's just whatever. It has a name because people have if given it a reputation,
Mm-hmm.
but it hasn't, and maybe it's learned enough to talk, but
Mm-hmm.
what else does it know aside from what it knows? It hasn't
Right.
learned anything. Spells aren't necessarily always you need to learn how to use a spell. It
Mm-hmm.
like they can use magic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the ones that
Well,
have
and
ingrained themselves in culture and stuff.
to your point, an ancient white dragon only has an intelligence of 10. Um,
Wow.
and has no spells. Like ancient white dragon has no spells at their disposal. They do have like lair actions, regional effects, legendary actions, their cold
So
breath, their
wait,
frightful
it's like
presence.
white dragons
Um,
don't still have a low intel. They really make them all like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I still play them smart. That's so like that's
So
so
to be
interesting.
fair, a 10 is still not a
Well, like
low intelligence. It is
I know, but
slightly
adult is like
smarter than the
dumb.
average person.
Interesting.
Um, yeah. But like a white dragon wormling is an intelligence of 5.
Yeah, no,
So
they
like
really hammered in that this
kind
is
of
the
a
dumb one.
smart dog.
Mhm.
Um, but uh they're there. Um, where I sort of have my disconnect with dragons tends to be around the like the play of a dragon. Of like people play dragons when they're running their game. A lot of GMs run dragons like they would run anybody else.
Mhm.
Like they're going to fight and try and defend and probably die. Um, a dragon, especially something like an ancient dragon, has been around for a long time. You are not the first group of adventurers to come after this dragon. If it is an ancient dragon, other groups of adventurers have come and died. Like the horde of a dragon should contain magic items that were clearly like adventuring gear.
Mm.
Because like if
Yeah.
you are
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
sent to kill this dragon, other things have been sent to kill this dragon. Like the dragons are a powerful creature, and like they are the top of the food chain. If they are an ancient dragon, there is nothing that is coming after them. Um, the only thing foolish enough to go after an ancient dragon is another dragon or people. Like you'll never see like I guess giants, like there's the whole like dragon and giant war,
Yeah,
they'll like
yeah,
go
yeah,
after
yeah.
them. But even that, you're gonna have like a war band of giants going after an ancient dragon. Like just to put that in perspective. So when you are if you're running a encounter with a bunch of like adventurers going after a dragon, they have had time to prep and build and like carve out their dungeons in such a way that they are, oh, thanks for the raid, guys,
Hey,
welcome.
how's it going?
um Dragons have had, if you are going after an ancient dragon, that dragon has been sitting in that lair and working it and moving it and
Yeah.
changing it to the specifications that it wants. If you, especially if you have a dragon like, oh my goodness, a blue dragon that has like a burrowing speed,
Oh
um
yeah, 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 yeah.
if that dragon is in that, like that is going to be a labyrinth of tunnels. There are going to be sections where it has just burrowed out the ground underneath of areas so that it can like break the ground there and things will just fall. Like the amount of time that this dragon has had to make its home, especially if you're talking about like this is a dragon of legend who has sat up in the mountains for millennia. Like a millennia is an absurd amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep, yep.
it, civilizations have rose and fall over and over again in a millennia. Like that's a long time. Um
You brought up the point of like other things that would that be stupid enough or that have challenged it,
mhm.
and it got me thinking because I remember like the Kelvin Monster podcast when they did rocks, like the bird,
Mhm.
the ROC rock. Um, it's one of those things like an owl bear where it is a creature, it's wild, but it's a monstrosity. It's a
Right.
gargantuan monstrosity because they were bred by giants
Mhm.
to be like to combat dragons.
Right.
Like they were basically just like their attack dogs
Mhm.
for dragons. And it's like they'll fight a dragon if they're, you know, if it's their territory is like encroached on another one or anything like that. They're solitary creatures, but it's that is a thing that would combat a dragon for reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. We went way over, and I don't know if you still want to try doing the ranger report, but I was just like, yo, we didn't do the ranger report.
Oh, I
do
mean,
you want to? Do you want to? Do you
we
want?
absolutely could. Otherwise, I'm fine to keep going because we are well past our halfway point.
I was gonna say
Um,
I got stories if you just want me to rattle off headlines. So it's up to you.
let's go ahead and we'll just skip it this week.
That's fine with me. I'll save these. I'm
Just
good.
real quick plug. If you haven't checked them out already, you should check them out. Not your grandmom's bags. They're awesome. They sponsor the Ranger Report and they help us make sure that we're able to keep doing stuff. If you go check out their website, you can get 15% off your order by using coupon code Waffles at checkout. They make all sorts of cool bags, pet bandanas, all sorts of stuff. It's just a cool little shop. Go check them out. Um, but
Okay,
yeah,
can I tell you the one headline that I feel you would love? I'm just gonna
absolutely.
do. I'm just gonna say, one is Wizard's Tower discovered to be built upside down. Claims it was deliberate design choice. It's like that's funny.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, there's so much you could do with that too. Uh, we could get a
Yeah,
whole
oh, yeah,
episode
I
out of
know. I
fleshing
was
that
like,
out.
you know, I was like, ooh, that's a fun
Um,
one. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
there are so many there's so many cool things that you can do with dragons.
Mhm.
Of like if you want to play a dragon as just incredibly smart, especially like give a dragon different spells. Like if its dragon has been sitting there for like a millennia, like if I pull up red dragon, we'll just use like an adult red dragon, right? Adult red dragon,
Oh, you know what
do
dragon
they
you
not
would
have
love?
spells anymore? Fifth
Uh
edition dragons might not have spells.
oh, I think some do. I
Oh,
know
here we
some
go.
do.
Here they are. Okay. Um, it's just not on their stat block for some reason. That's weird. But they have like
you know what dragon you
Bane,
would love?
Dominate Person, Heat
Yeah.
Metal, Hypnotic Pattern, Suggestion. There's other spells, like swap them out for like the same level as those other spells. You've got a lot of versatility there.
Have you ever done Ravnica stuff?
Mm-mm.
Niv Mizzet. Like that's like from Magic the Gathering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh it is like there's
Oh yeah,
guilds, like the colors, there's like a Niv Mizzet is like the leader of a societal faction.
yeah,
This dragon, I think, would be the dragon of your dreams
yeah.
because it is a red dragon. It's been, I think, like it's got traits, but he's arrogant and vain,
Mm-hmm.
has vast intel. He like leads like the I don't know if it does he lead the one where it's like it is technologically focused and forward and stuff like that, but his lair, like his home is just like him like in a den, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not wearing glasses and clothes. He's still a dragon, but it is that ultra intelligent, um, like what is it? It's a 30 intelligence.
Yeah.
Like this thing is like it is that like
Yeah.
it is gonna
This
be
this
just the
thing has
NPC
I have the stat block
and
in
the
front of me. This
spells.
thing
Yeah.
has ninth level spells.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The like there's so much that you can do
Yo,
with a
he has his
dragon.
private. He has a private laboratory above the. Like he directs the research and experiments of his countless underlings. He
Mm-hmm.
coordinates tremendous number of appropriate, apparently unrelated projects working towards some mysterious end. Like, and it's just a dragon that is orchestrating all this. And I'm like, yeah, this is a red dragon that is like following all the
Yeah.
criteria here and checking all these
100%.
boxes. Hmm.
Um Dragons are awesome. My approach to and do you have a like do you have things that you do when you are prepping a dragon fight?
When if it's something where it is not a like if there's like, oh, this is almost like a monster of the week, or like
Mm-hmm.
this is more just focused towards this adventure, this session, whatever the
Right.
situation is.
Like a one-shot
uh
dragon.
yeah. What I like to do is I like to do the things that I do for any NPC or villain or anything like that, that I don't have the luxury of time
Mm-hmm.
to shell out and facilitate. I make the world give the details that imply the world has had experience with it, and this is the reaction. So it's something where it's like people are speaking of the dragon in such a hushed way, or
Mm-hmm.
any sort of recounting stories is like describing just this terror, this whatever. And the way you said, like, they wouldn't be the first persons to, like, the first adventurers to potentially take it on or
Yeah.
something like that. um Either it mentioned that, or not DM shenanigans, but if like somebody fails, like if it passes a type of save or a check or something like that, there's a way to still let somebody do something. And like if whenever somebody fails a swing, like if they miss, right, I
Mm-hmm.
don't just go, you whiff it, you know what I
Right.
mean? It's they dodged so good, or you made contact and they stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? So I was just like, you can feel, like, you dig into the ground, you can feel the wind blow with your great sword as it sinks in and it stares at you. You
Yeah.
know you would have taken 3 men out with that hit. I don't
Yeah.
take it away from the player.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, if they rolled and they got a 10 and it didn't work, it's not that you were bad in this instance.
Mm-hmm.
That 10 would have killed 5 men.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is that hardcore, and I have to do what I can to instill fear quickly, without the luxury of them having repeated encounters with it, without
Mm-hmm.
them like looking forward to it for multiple sessions. It's like, I got to do it now. So it's that jazzing up of those moments where it's like, this happened, or like other people, this happened, and just going, this is how serious this thing is.
Yeah.
I apparently play white dragons just as smart as all the other ones. So
Sure.
I make them like Craven the Hunter type of thing, where
Yeah.
it's like
I
their
tend to
hit and
make
run tactics or other
my white
things.
dragon smarter as well.
Thanks for subscribing. Uh, but the one thing, if you're ever going to use one dragon, this is the one thing. If you ever use and this is I think for any creature, for any DM to use,
Hmm.
it's very easy for a party to just do a surround and pound situation, and then once they find that one rhythm or they find surrounds one thing, it's like that's it.
Hmm.
Dragons, if they are not in their lair or they don't have lair actions or you don't want to use them because you're trying to balance it or something like that, my go-to, and I say this for everything, is methods. I use
Methods are
methods
great. Yeah.
religiously, and in the first time I used a white dragon, I had him. I was like, they're gonna surround him.
Hmm.
Icicle spires spiked up from the ground, split apart, and they were ice methods,
Yeah.
and they broke up the battle in that they had to place themselves strategically because they would
Yep.
explode. They figured that out quick. But any color dragon that has any sort of elemental affinity, you can
Hmm.
summon little things
Yeah.
to kind of like spread it out, to break
Well,
it up a
and
little
I'll
bit.
I'll also say you mentioned like if a dragon isn't in its lair and it isn't in its
Yeah.
cave, like
Yeah.
the party has somehow gotten it um elsewhere.
Yeah.
A dragon is smart enough to know if this fight isn't winnable, I'll leave.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
a drag you would have to be in unless the party is able to like genuinely pin down that dragon and make sure it
Yep.
can't leave, in which case like that dragon is going to pull out all the punches to take out whatever is preventing it from leaving. Like if you are preventing it from leaving, it's gonna retaliate. But if you're not, if you have somehow like pinned it down and then like it gets free, it'll leave. Like it'll wreak a massive amount of damage and then it'll fly away.
Yeah.
And
Like
it'll go
a
to
brass
its lair
dragon.
where it knows it has the advantage. It may even, and I've done this in the past, of having a dragon feign retreat, of like it looks like it's hurt, it looks like it's on its last legs, it'll fly away, and it did this thing where it would fly and then it would like drop its one wing and like fall and like go into the
Oh
woods,
wow.
and it was like intentionally leaving a trail to its
Oh
lair.
wow.
And then the players got to its lair and they were all cocky and they walk in, and they're like, where is this guy? Like, we got him. And they walk in, and he's just sitting there fine, and he's like, huh, welcome back.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then
great way to like
and then
let
he
you know that.
launches
Yeah.
all of his stuff of like you have been like chasing him, he's healed himself up. He's
Hmm.
like he has magic items in his lair that he has utilized to like heal himself or like utilize. um
And they can
and
go fat. Like I was looking
yeah.
at all the young ones. I mean, not the young ones, the wormlings. All most of them seem like they all can fly at least 60 feet. The
Yeah.
young ones can fly 80, and then if you use an action at the same time, that's one something. Like it will just, even if you have shenanigans to keep up for a while,
Mm-hmm.
it will more likely than not outpace your group.
Yeah.
It's
a
it's
a
it's
a
it's a lot.
worm, like a red dragon wormling, which is again 8 years or younger,
Hmm.
still can, like, if it's flying, if it's just flying, it can get 120 feet away from you in one turn. Like that's not nothing.
Hmm.
Like you give it 2 turns, it's now like at that 340. Like even if you've got long range on your stuff, it's gonna get out of range. So if it can
Wow.
survive
Oh my god.
2 arrow shots, like it's gone.
I just looked at because I was like aspect of Bahamut, aspect of Tiamat. I was like, these are like
Oh yeah.
gods.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, what's a non-god dragon?
Hmm.
And the great worms, that the great
The
worms
great
can
worms
fly
are terrifying.
120 feet, like
Yeah.
120 feet. Like that is bananas.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
wow.
to put it to give you, those of you who are listening, some information on great worms. Um the A few things. One, they have a base fly speed of 120 feet. So if you don't want to, like, if you are unable to like pin that great worm down and it wants to leave, it will. It, like, if it takes the dash action, uh that's 240 feet away from you in one turn.
Yep.
um On top of that, the Great Worms have a thing called, at least the red one that I'm looking at right now, has Chromatic Awakening. If the Great
Sounds
Worm would be
bananas. That's so
reduced to
crazy.
0 hit points, its
I'm
current
sorry,
hit
what?
point,
Hold on, what?
if the Great Worm would be reduced to 0 hit points,
Hmm.
its current hit point total is instead reset to 425 hit points. It recharges its breath weapon. It regains any expended uses of legendary resistance. Additionally, the Great Worm can now use the option in the mythic action sections for 1 hour. Um, like that's bananas. Its mythic actions, it gains if the Grim let's see here. It can use the options below as a legendary action. It can make a bite attack as a legendary action, and it can do chromatic flare.
Oh my
Which is
god.
it flares with elemental energy. Each creature within 60-foot radius sphere centered on the Grey Worm must succeed on a DC 26 dexterity saving throw or take 5d8 of fire damage.
My oh my god.
And that's on top of its legendary actions.
That we can get into a whole thing of how people do or don't do legendary actions and layer actions enough or the right way.
100%.
But wow, that is definitely like I know I've done a what do you call it? Multi-stage fight where it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, you thought you were done, but guess what? There's uh you were wrong. That would be, oh man, that's not one session right there. Because
No, that's well, and it's like the Great Worm, their base HP is 533. Um, and then if it gets down to 0, it just doesn't. Instead of getting to 0, it now has 425 more points and has new abilities that it gets to use and resets everything. And like it is brutal.
that's
Um,
that's bananas.
I love the Great Worm. They are terrifying. Um, if you are looking to make your dragons just absolutely bonkers bananas, um, I don't think Volo's Guide isn't a thing anymore for 5th edition, but like the Volo's Guide had a good
Hmm.
like some good stuff on like dragon layers. Also Fizbin's has real good information on dragons. The best advice I can give, and I know we're running out of time, so I want to make sure we get out of here. The best advice I can give for prepping a dragon fight is prep a dragon's lair like you would prep a dungeon. Like there should be twists and turns and corridors and channels and traps, and like second entrances and top entrances, and like the dragon needs a way to quickly enter and exit the lair from flight without it being like super visible. So like they need some way to access it that is going to be very difficult for anyone who can't fly to be able to access it. You need something that is going to allow the dragon for fast entry and fast escape. You also need like their horde should be something that is protected. The horde
Hmm.
should not be like there's a lot of dragon fights that like the fight happens on the horde, and it's like the
It's
dragon would
just
not
there,
want
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Like the dragon does not want you to be just like messing up their horde. So like the horde should be protected. And then the last one is like lair actions and legendary actions are incredibly necessary for a dragon. You also need to think about the fact that like if a dragon is over 1,000 years old, it has seen all of the stuff that your players will throw at it. Like it knows what to expect from the different spells that are going to be tossed around. It knows what to expect from like if a spell is thrown, it is going to assess your group and go, that's the one who's casting magic. Gonna take that one out. A dragon is not stupid, and it will like take out the threats systematically. A dragon, if it knows that it can fly and be like no longer at like in danger, it will.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
dragon will take to the air and breath weapon the entire party and just stay in the air if it needs to. I have had a dragon fight where the dragon was just like the players were upset about it, but like the dragon was like, I'm not coming down. Like, you guys
Yeah,
are like
exactly. Yeah.
down there with pointy things. I'm not going to come down there. I'm going to sit up here. I'm going to throw spells and breathe fire on you. And like deal with it. Like
Yeah.
you either leave or like get on my level.
And that's really frustrating, but it's like it depends on what kind of situation you're either trying to throw at your players or what
Mhm.
they walk into without planning or something like that. If they you don't want to just punish them for the sake of punishing them, you know what I
Right.
mean? But uh, if this is what is going to happen, I think that what hurts less is doing what makes the most sense.
Mhm.
If you are just shenanigans and like, like, oh, it's over here now, or it can do this, or something
Right.
like the gem drag, where it can just teleport, that'll
Right.
feel like shenanigans unless you establish why and how and the capabilities. But a thing can fly and it's smart,
Right.
it's
The
gonna do that.
utilize the abilities that it has.
Mhm.
If you have a blue dragon that has a burrowing speed, you can go under the ground.
Mhm.
Like when in my blue dragon layers, there are like whole twisting tunnel systems underneath its main layer that like if it needs to get away, it just goes down into the tunnels and disappears. Like it's super easy. The utilize the abilities that those dragons have to make them the thing of like terrifying nightmares. Because a
Yes.
dragon is a powerful creature and your players should feel very privileged to have
Right?
survived
Yeah, it's it's
after
it's
that
one of those
fight.
things where it'll be, it's like when you think about it, like, casually, it's just like, oh, so many people took it out and we're the one, like your group was the one to do it. Well,
Right.
D&D is not like Call of Cthulhu or something else. Like the whole point is you're supposed to be heroes. Like
Hmm.
it's not you versus the DM, and it's supposed to be we're all telling a story together, and you're all supposed to be built up and
Right.
you're the one that everyone's gonna be telling these stories about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You will be the one to have done it.
Yeah.
And every time somebody does something for the first time, you're like, why didn't anybody do it this way? Or like, wow, you're really the one. Like, yeah, this is it. You are the one that did it.
Yeah.
And you could see the same story a bunch of different ways, but your story is going to be your way. You
Right.
will be the one to have done it that way.
And I think the other part of this is uh like if you're going to throw a dragon at a player or a group of players, sorry. If you're going to throw that dragon at them, it is your responsibility to make sure that one, the dragon is played well so that they like when they win that fight, it is earned. But you also need to make sure that you are not just sending them to a death trap. Of like if I send a group of like level 3 players up against an ancient red dragon in his lair, I'm a bad GM. Like you need to make sure that you are like making sure that they have a way forward. That means if they are going to go after that red dragon, you are making sure that they are like warned not to. Like the number there should be a lot of warning signs, and when they get to that red dragon, the red dragon might see it as an insult that they even like came to fight,
Mm-hmm.
and be
Yep.
like this would be the equivalent of like a mouse in like a lion's cave, right? Of like that is nothing. You are not worth the amount of energy it would take to eat you. Like, go away, leave your offering and leave. Like if you are an ancient powerful dragon and a group of level 3 adventurers show up, it might not even occur to you that they are there to fight. You might assume that they have heard legends of your greatness and they are there to pay tribute. Because
Yep.
it makes a lot more sense that that's the case than it does that these level 3 idiots have come and think that they're going to kill you. Um Make it clear to the players of like this is not a fight you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
Um
And
and
when in doubt, especially in that type of situation, you can they a lot of them can possess magic, and there's whether or not it says it anywhere in any of these books, you can super duper make a dragon a warlock patron.
Hmm.
I mean, the whole thing is they bestow some power, and it's like you want to be that great. Start dishing out. Pick one of the warlocks types, and then just flavor it as a dragon. There are plenty of homebrew types, but
Hmm.
like you can just be like, I'll grant you a sliver of my awesomeness.
Yeah.
And
If
yeah,
a player shows up, or if a group of players shows up to like kill something that is far beyond their capabilities, they can give a warning of like
yeah, yeah.
who is the one that is like running. Every group has that one guy that's going to be running his mouth,
Hmm.
and just up there like threatening the dragon of like, we've come to take your gold. And like, yeah, the breath weapon of a dragon is a cone, but that's because it's like it's going to be a like effective. It wants to
Yeah,
wipe out as much as it can. If it wants to, it can do a
a
stream
line.
of stream
Hmm.
of flame instead. It's just like, instead of opening its mouth all the way, it just and then just incinerates the person that was running their mouth, and then is like, gather your friend, come back to me when you're worthy, and like give the players that taunt of like, you're not ready, but come back when you are, because you
It would,
seem
yeah.
fun.
It would be really funny to to completely incinerate a player,
Hmm.
and like 1,000,000% incinerate them, and then like throw a little box over, and it has like a diamond and a scroll, like a resurrect, like
Yeah,
a revivify, and then just is like, get him and go and come back, and it's
yeah,
just like, here's a freebie $1,000 diamond.
yeah.
Bring your friend back real quick, and then
Because
get
it
out of
means
here.
it means so little to the
Exactly,
dragon.
especially if they have a whole ton.
you
Yep.
could you
Mhm.
could oh my goodness, I've oh man, give them from the dragon's horde, give them a scroll of raised dead and an
Yep.
arrow of dragon slaying, and be like, here,
Make it
come,
interesting next time.
make it interesting next time. Let me level the playing field because you're so unworthy. Here's a weapon that would kill me if given the opportunity. You'll never have that opportunity. um
Mm.
and let them leave, and let them just stew in that. um and we're so far past our time. The one thing that I want to bring up before we're
I
done
like this.
talking
I'm
about
letting you have
dragons,
fun. I
yeah,
want you to have these moments.
the one thing that I want to bring up as we're wrapping up here, and I just want you to stew in it,
Hmm.
is dragon madness. um there is a thing in Lord of the Rings, in like in the Hobbit, where when they like take back the mountain, and they have this dragon's horde at their disposal, and it just starts warping the mind of the person who has taken that treasure,
Okay.
and they just start going a little bit mad with the power of having this dragon's horde at their disposal. And like, you can make the argument for it's just like money corrupting them. You can make the argument for it is like genuinely some sort of curse that is placed over the horde by the dragon dying, of like, you've killed me but I live on.
Mm.
Like, it could go either way. The I love playing with that little bit of like uncertainty of like what's happening. We have a group in one of my games that has they stole from this individual. They took all this stuff. And the one character, there's only one that failed the save in that group. But they just started being like, they had to count the money. They had to make sure
Mm.
it was all there. Like,
Like
every
compulsion.
night
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going down into the vault and making sure, like, okay, is it all there? And then something would be missing, and they're like, somebody took it. Somebody came in here and took this. Somebody stole from us. And then they would like see it with one of the other party members, and they're like, you're the one that did it. And it just like slowly starts building up in this like rot that is seeping into you as like an incredibly powerful entity. If you come and you take their stuff and you kill them, there are repercussions. Um, And that is the
You want to know
last
where I
little
thought?
bit that I want to talk about dragons.
Yeah, you know where I thought you were gonna go with that? I thought you were gonna go with if you went the route of like this treasure or this legend has always existed, and because you mentioned Princess Bride earlier, it's like there must always be the Dread Pirate. Like, what if you have scales, and
Yeah.
then
Oh yeah.
you
100%.
you have to be the dragon that protects this horde,
There must always be
and
a dragon to protect this
yeah,
horde.
and then
Yeah.
you will eventually become a dragonborn. You will become a dragon, and over time, you will become the dragon, and you become the one that has to, whether you like it or not. And it's almost like a hex blood
Yeah.
situation. You use that lineage instead of a hag, you do a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know,
Yeah.
one day this is your fate, and you could accept it, or you can be like and do what you have with the time, and create your own new legend, or like
Oh man.
try to
Uh,
reverse it. Ooh,
a background for like a character who's just starting out, where their background is like their parent was a like an adventurer who went off and killed a dragon and took the horde and brought it back, and then like bad stuff just kept happening, and then they were born and they are now a draconic soul sorcerer,
yep, yep,
with this like hex blood type curse of like they are
yeah.
slowly turning into a draconic individual who, like, oh man, love that. That's so good.
Yep.
um oh man, this
And
was
I
good.
just looked at
This
YouTube
was
Down.
fun.
There's like one of the top added like 4,000 ads is an ancient dragon patron,
Hmm.
and it's just like it's all laid out for you there. What
I played a
spells you get?
warlock that had a dragon as a patron.
Oh, yep, there you go.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good time. Lots of fire spells.
Oh, yeah. All right.
um
I'm gonna let you do your thing. Do what you got to do. But thank you anybody everybody that hung out and listened. Hunter, you always end us with some three calls to action. What three things do you want everybody to do this week?
this week, well, last time we built out a lair, we found things to hoard. So I don't want to, like, we just talked about dragons. I don't want to talk about dragons in our call to action. So this week, um, go out and make a new friend. Like, go meet somebody new, be friends with them. Maybe go to the Dungeons and Dragons movie with them so that you're caught up to speed by the time where you talk about it next week. The second one is gonna be, um find one of those shops that sells like old candy and stuff like that. And like buy some candy that reminds you of like your childhood. Buy something that you haven't eaten in a very long time and has a lot of nostalgia attached to it. And the third one is going to be, uh watch DuckTales. Watch, not like, you can watch the old one too, but specifically the like rebooted series of DuckTales, with David Tennant playing
Yeah,
Scrooge.
yeah.
It's so good. That's not really a call to action as much as it is just a really good show that I highly recommend. Go watch DuckTales. Fantastic story, fantastic cast. I love it dearly.
That's fun.
Um,
That's fun.
that is all for us this week. Next, we will be here on Friday, this upcoming Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, same time, same channel. Just come back, and yeah, we look forward to talking about the D&D movie with you guys.
All right.
Any exciting things you got coming up, Junie?
We have Humblewood tomorrow. We're gonna be on
Yeah,
the Great Restoration Channel where Hunter and I will be playing siblings. And I will be a rooster paladin named Hiroiko. And Hunter, you wanna how do
I'm playing Maximus Bravado, or as he's currently being called,
yeah,
just Max.
you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Yeah, it's a traumatic story for that little mouse boy. Yeah,
He didn't get nachos,
he
so
didn't get
he's kind of in
nachos,
his
and it's
emo
been
stage right
downhill
now.
ever since.
You know, he's a teenager that didn't get nachos, so he's being a little shit right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, go watch some the Humblewood stream. It's fun. And yeah. We will be back on Friday. Have a great rest of your week, guys.
Bye, everybody. You have a good
Later.
day. Peace.